the HubSpot helpline. Helpline.
It's Rob, it's George, it's Casey, and Kyle. Come with a problem and leave with a smile. Every Friday at 3, come and join us as we help you with HubSpot. Open up your LinkedIn, just make sure you call in and leave a voicemail about HubSpot. Make your Friday divine with the HubSpot helpline.
Hello and welcome back to the HubSpot Helpline. I am your dancing behind the scenes host, Rob Jones, aka the mayor of Inbound. And I'm joined by we didn't even have to do the Star Wars marching theme. Chris Carolyn is on camera today. And well, there it is. And the one
First
and
thing
only
that George did when he joined before we started recording was hit that button.
That's appropriate. And George, B stands for better. B stands for, by golly, he is a deadgum HubSpot extraordinaire. George B.
Wow.
Thomas, how are you today, George?
I'm doing great. By the way, you have no clue that I usually do this, but when people ask me, what does the B stand for? I just tell them it stands for Benjamin.
Benjamin.
Because it's my middle name is Benjamin. I don't even know if a lot of people know that, but the B is for Benjamin. And but I've been jamming on some HubSpot this week.
I've seen it, and you might as well add an S in front of the B, because I'm sure you've been stacking Benjamins, helping all the people with HubSpot with sidekick strategies. Chris is from Profoundly. He's a founding Profoundly Pro, a lot of pro words in there. Yeah. And I think maybe this is the first show where the green thing has been replaced by a pink thing. I am now brand at super. I wish I had a lightning bolt emote that I could deploy in real time.
Yeah. Next time we expect something.
Right. Yeah.
They're not very supered yet, I guess.
Oh, I mean, this was before day one, so I'm on point a little bit. I do have telling this to you guys before the live started is that I've decided to start dabbling in 2 things, and it's long overdue. One of them is OBS, and so enter Stream Deck pretty soon. I'm pretty excited to start doing that.
There you
and
go.
2 is Claude. Chris, I know you've been preaching to me, like, just give it a shot, man. I want to apologize publicly.
Welcome to the party, man.
Yeah, in order to maybe filibuster here for a minute, because any returning viewers, I know we've been doing this for years, eons, millennia even. You'll notice that there are 2 faces missing. One of them is at home with a baby. Kyle is not here. He's on pat leave. We wish him the best. And Casey is not stranded at a Love's in Iowa. She should be showing up any minute. So we want to give her some time to get here. But let's start off really quick, because we do have a call or 2 to get to a layperson, right? To me, I'm admitting that the differences in Claude and GPT. I will tell you, and you can just verify that this is correct, incorrect. The way that it intuits information without having to engineer a prompt, to me, is a lot smoother. I use the same prompts and the same things almost as a comparative. Chris, I know you've talked about having them kind of talk to each other and have to assign them different roles. So I understand you're a blank, like the what, where, when, why kind of, prompt introduction. But doing that, the results that I got were immediately closer to kind of the desired end state. So there was less iterations, there was less back and forth. Have you experienced, is there a term for that? Is there some tangible difference in Anthropic versus OpenAI? Or, I mean, I'm sure both of you guys can kind of speak to this. Speaking of OpenAI, let's give a round of applause for Casey being on time. Here we go.
Round of applause for the show being on time.
Just kidding.
Yeah, she's like, no, I'm ready now. Goodbye.
And she leaves immediately. Well, she can join this topic and the show whenever she wants. But Chris, George, I'll open it up to you just on the Claude question.
So I'll just give my 2 cents. what I have, by the way, I still use ChatGPT a ton, but I have done some massive heavy lifting in instructions and memory to get it to give me outputs that I want to see. But for the normal user who just comes in and does like some simple prompts, Claude, it spits out more human feeling responses versus like again, I have over a year of engineering my instructions and my memory to get me to that point, because back when I started that wasn't necessarily the case, but Claude has gotten really good at like just sounding like a human would sound.
Yes.
Chris?
I
Casey, sorry.
no, I'm late. Go ahead, Chris. And I'm also gonna have the opposite opinion, so I'll let everybody have their.
He also doesn't use Claude, so there's that. So, yeah, I think I like to think about, when you hear what the companies are doing, like behind the scenes and their goals with the LLMs, in this case, OpenAI, and Anthropic, like when you hear the founders talk, like definitely the goals of Anthropic is to be like humans and taking care of humans and human values, and like even the name is Claude, not Chat GPT. Like
Right.
it's a name. But then on the other side, you've got, OpenAI saying like, we want productivity, like get this in the hands of as many people as possible so that they have an assistant everywhere they go for everything. So when you don't, without any setup, OpenAI, ChatGPT is going to act like that assistant, like delegate me tasks and I will get the tasks done. If you want anything else, it's going to require a lot of setup because I'm always going to like go into that productivity mode, versus Claude has been the opposite, for me. And that's where whatever the goal is, like either one can work, right? So it's about, and it's not surprising me, Rob, like the way you like to tell stories and do world building and just think outside of the box. Like Claude, in my opinion, Claude is more built for us out of the box because we like to not do things the normal way. We're open to those random things that come up, and as soon as Claude does it, we're like, oh yeah, let's go down that path.
Serendipity.
Serendipity.
With your AI assistant. Here's what I'll even throw in there too. Like I have, as of late, even gone into the world of I start with one and finish with another. So let me explain. Like right now, I'm working with a client. We are building an 8-week live training program based off of some content that he has historically created. And I'm using ChatGPT to build the outline and the speaker notes and the like, what should we have on screen? However, before he ever sees a draft version that he'll add his own information to, it will go from ChatGPT to Claude to re-spit out the speaker notes to then go into a doc that I can listen to, refine, and then deliver to the client where they can refine it. So again, depending on where you have the context and the information and what you're trying to build to where you're trying to go, it may be a joint assistant process.
Yeah, and to your Casey, I'll let you weigh in with I like the dynamics. Like it's helpful to have differing opinions or preferences. For me, Chris, you nailed it. And even, talking about the CEOs and the companies and their goals with the tools, I didn't know, or I'd forgotten that I know GPT 303 mini, for whatever. Claude's is Sonnet. Like as somebody that has been published and written and done creative writing and took those classes in college, that to me immediately kind of underlined the difference. Was holy crap, a sonnet. Yeah, I need more of kind of the creative freedom, and I need more of the empathy. If GPT is the logical portion of whatever, then it seems that Claude has more of the empathetic or empath version of whatever that is.
Be careful.
I don't want to. Yeah, Casey, go ahead.
How about you?
So, worth noting, I'm cheap. I don't pay for either.
Wait, what?
What? Oh,
say that a different way, please. Just say that a different way. Frugal. The word you're looking
Frugal.
for is frugal. I'm frugal. There
I'm
we go.
frugal.
That's
I
better.
don't pay for either. So just worth noting.
Man, we need to vet the kind of experts we have on the show, I think.
Now, here's what I'll say. I would bet that many people fall in the Casey camp where
Mhm.
they're using it, but they're not quite ready to pay for it yet because not
Mhm.
mere mortal humans aren't a Chris, aren't a Rob, aren't a George,
Mhm.
aren't a Nico, right? Where like
Mhm.
we're super nerdy, super deep in the weeds, using it for work every single day. Like, and
Mhm.
Casey might be using it every single day, but if free gets her what she needs, fine, fine.
Voice
Right.
of the people. I've said it
Yeah.
before. I'll say it again.
There you go. There you go.
So I'm using the free versions of both, which I suspect a lot of people watching are also. Um, and for me, I do what George mentioned. I'll start in one and I'll move to the other. Um, and for me, right recently, I'm starting in Claude mostly because I can paste more text into Claude than I can in ChatGPT. So I will start there. Our morning show. I take the transcript of our morning show. I send it to Claude. I have Claude write a post for that sounds like me. But I haven't gotten Claude to sound like me, which I know is my prompts. I know that. I know everybody, whatever. But ChatGPT, I've put so much work in. All I have to do is send ChatGPT whatever Claude spit out and say, make this sound like me. That is my prompt. Make this sound like me.
Yep.
And it does. And it
Yep.
sounds better than me. Like it's funnier than I am.
Nah, get out of here. Come on. You gotta work on the way that you talk about yourself, girl. My goodness. Funnier than me. It's not cheaper than you. I can tell you that. Anyway. Hey,
This is becoming a therapy session between me and George. Sorry,
no,
everyone. Thanks for
hey, wow.
And
No,
we do have our voicemail caller like patiently waiting.
you are
and
so right.
mentioning like if I was hosting this show in particular, this might have happened.
if I was hosting.
But
Yeah.
good thing Rob is hosting.
Well, I wanted to bring that up, and it went a little bit longer, but I blame that fully on Casey for being late. We couldn't start the helpline portion of HubSpot Helpline without all of the help, and we might need it.
There you go.
So, Chris, if you don't mind, we're going to hop into that. I do have some closing remarks that we can save for later. But yeah, let's get into this voicemail. We have one, and Chris, do you mind teeing that up for us so that George, yourself, and Casey can dive right in?
All righty, let's get it started. And there's a two-parter here because he ran out of time, and I tried to curate it a little bit. So we'll start here.
The problem is an automation for renewal deals being auto-created 120 days before their renewal date. Previously, this was entirely human done. Now it's almost fully automated except for one part, which is I have to go, after the deal is created, I have to go add the line items manually to the created deal and then calculate and populate the line item amounts based on last year's deal. Something context here is we use the recurring revenue reporting in HubSpot to calculate GRR and NRR. So it's heavily dependent on the annual recurring revenue property that is auto-populated by HubSpot based on the line items. So a lot of automation downstream happens based off of whether that value is greater than, less than, or equal to the prior annual renewal amount. So the problem is I'm unable to figure out a way. Sorry, the dogs are barking. I'm unable to figure out a way to have the deal created with the correct line item at the correct price. The deal creation workflow is a company workflow with the enrollment based off of the renewal date property on the company level being less than 120 days from now. And then in that workflow or in a secondary deal workflow, I haven't been able to figure out how I can add the correct line item and have their values be populated based on last year's amounts. On the deal level, I can have the amount property be calculated correctly so that it shows what the amount should be. But if I put a line item on there, it defaults to that line item's default value
So that was him running out of time. I'm going to pull up part 2 here. But yeah, any responses so far? We got another deal quote line item challenge. Maybe this is a regular thing in the ecosystem, eh?
I built something trying to solve this a few weeks ago. I can show
What a
my screen.
cliffhanger. Did it work? I mean, can you show us?
Well, I'm just dead air. That's what people want.
Yeah,
They-
I can confirm. I don't think that is what people want. People want solutions, Casey. Come on.
Put my screen up there, Rob.
Oh, I don't have admin. Chris, if we have the
Oh,
screen
I
ready, we
thought-
can throw her screen
Let's-
into the mix.
Let's listen to the part 2 here because
Okay.
he starts
Alright.
sharing dollar amounts.
Yep.
And
Too eager.
hopefully will help us out here.
Hello, it's Riley again. I'm not shocked that my long-winded problem reached the voicemail limit, so I'll pick up where I left off, and y'all can handle this how you want. Sorry.
I love it.
So I can't figure out how to get the correct line item added and the amount added without overriding the default value. Say that the line item amount should be for one subscription of $14,000, but the default product for that subscription just has like $10,000 in it, because most of the subscriptions are that amount, but not all of them. So whenever I add it into the initial deal, it just overrides to the $10,000 instead of the $14,000. It is doable because I've connected the deal to last year's deal. So this year's renewal deal that gets created is associated to last year's renewal deal for that same company with a 1-to-1 association label of preceding renewal deal and subsequent renewal deal. So I can get at it. What I just can't figure out is a way to have that line item change to the information that I need it to change to. I will hope.
So here's the thing, Mike. I guess I would have a question of this year's renewal is the same price as last year's renewal. And then I'm just going to say, this is why I love cloning things.
Mhm.
So I'm super curious of like, if that's even an option of like, and again, I'll say like historically, I use something like Clone Attack to clone a deal based on just bringing that information and putting it wherever I wanted. But now, and I haven't checked this out, by the way, because it's a newer feature, but we can manually clone records in HubSpot. What would be interesting, HubSpot, if you're listening, is an actual like clone workflow action, because then all of a sudden you could just clone the thing that Riley's trying to do like with a simple action. Anyway, I'll shut up because Casey, you had thoughts. Chris, I'm sure you had thoughts.
Yeah. So just to recap, Riley's attempting to add a line item for a subscription of 14,000. And Riley, since you're watching, let us know if the AI summary here is inaccurate in any way. The default product value for this subscription is $10,000 and it's causing conflicts. There's an existing association with last year's deal for context on this year's renewal. Trying to avoid looking in all the places to make this stuff make sense is what I'm hearing. So we'll take a look at Casey's solution now.
Yeah, I don't think it solves
Maybe.
the problem. I mean, I'll show you what I did. But yeah, I'll show you what I did. I agree. The clone piece would be the ideal situation. The problem with the clone is what I mentioned the other day is that it only clones what's on your create form. And it's possible, especially when you're cloning a full complete deal, there's relevant information that's not relevant on the create form piece. So something to say.
Something
there.
to watch out for, because you
Something
can
to watch out for.
customize that create form to whatever you need it to have if you were
Yeah.
going to go with the cloning version. Yeah. Which, by the way, cloning in an automated way isn't a thing yet. So
Mhm.
this would be like manually cloning it
Mhm.
as of right now.
Correct. So either way, I have this workflow. It creates a new deal. This one creates it for a year out in this specific record. And then I copy some properties over. The workaround that I was going to demonstrate is I have this property previous deal amount, which actually is, it must be a sync property now that I'm pulling it up, original deal amount. And I'm copying that. I'm copying the amount from the original deal to the new deal to enrich the deal record with the correct amount. However, where this does not meet Riley's needs, I just checked, it's not populating the line item. So we have a line item here for renewals. Get out of here. We just have a line item for renewal. I don't know of a good way to clone your line items at this time. But because of that, it was just showing the deals were 0 because you can't set a deal amount if you have the line items. But again, my deal that I just checked, although the deal amount is correct, the line item amount is still incorrect.
Which, by the way, not anything to do with Riley's question. The fact that the deal amount and the line item amounts can become unsynced is forever a bane of my existence. The amount of times I've had to go in and hit the little pencil and put it back to 2,500, $5,000, and whatever. Oh my aching. Anyway, sorry, HubSpot. We love it.
I wonder, and this is not my area, but like, could a custom code action up the? Okay, Chris is shaking his head.
Oh, I bet you give custom code action Chad and this question, we might have an interesting conversation. But Chris, you shook your head. I'm interested in what you're thinking.
Yeah, I mean, in most of my experiences, like to manage line items the way that most people are trying to, you almost have to get custom code involved like every time. There are things that I'm expecting. And in the first half of Riley's first voicemail, the cash flow stuff is pending. The quoting is getting better. I do expect things like the syncability between line items and deal amounts and like to get better. But that's where like understanding what each object's role is in the process. Like if a deal at some point is supposed to be a projected value, right? And you have multiple line items that are possible. It's like quantity of 1, quantity of 10, quantity of 100. The value of the deal in the pipeline and the forecast should not be a total of all those three lines. And that's where you have to be careful before we just say, all right, the deal amount needs to sync to the line item total every time. We see multiple quotes, and some people would want the quote amount to sync to the deal. So this is why we need this. I mean, this is why HubSpot bought a whole company like to solve this problem. They've been specific to that space, and we need that level of expertise to solve this problem. And it looks like Riley added some information here.
Yeah, my problem mostly, I'll speak for you, Riley, mostly boils down to I can't find any action in the workflow where I can indicate that it needs to change a specific line item amount on a deal record that exists to a specific value. I can get the line item on the deal. I just can't find a way to automatically put the number I need in the amount column on the line item. On the create deal action, I can add the line item. Problem is it defaults to the standard amount set in the product record.
Yeah. Riley, ideas.hubspot.com. Have you done that yet? Because I gotta imagine there's other, hang on, let me get prepped for this. There's other that are having probably the same problem. So like, let's throw that into the ecosystem and let HubSpot product nerds and AI fix that real fast for us. Because again, I think about a workflow action around line items, or just general line item workflow actions. Like there's a handful of, like, if you could get in there and do stuff with line items that you could decimate with, or even like a cloning record action of some sort in workflows. But who knows? We'll see.
I had a couple of questions. One of the two discrepancies in the amount from 10,000 to 14. It seems like we have it kind of hand. But the other thing I noticed, and this was a quote, was I use recurring revenue reporting in HubSpot. It's heavily dependent on the ARR property populated by HubSpot. I don't really have a comment on that other than Shadab, Leiden, Brian at RP built, like, solving for net revenue retention involves monthly MRR, non-recurring revenue, and then rolling that up. And it took 6 months to even have like a V1 of that. So if you're heavily dependent on something that is incredibly hard to like calculate, right? I don't think it's factoring in churn or like any of that with ARR, but I would, aside from the line items, aside from that, what is kind of a known need, I would start with making sure that's like updated and calculated, correctly, and make sure that it's not pulling something that you don't want in there. But it seems like it can't do it at all. It's not an incorrect value. It just won't happen. He has to do it manually.
Mm-hmm.
Glad we could validate. But this is a hard problem. The solve off the cuff is the cavalry's coming with the cash flow team. They're doing a lot of great work in Commerce Hub, specifically to solve the MRR, ARR problem. Yeah. This is where the double-edged sword of HubSpot is. Lots of teams working on stuff. So in order to do a lot of the other stuff, we need to have line item level reporting. Of course, that update happens, and now we think we can do all the things, and then it causes all these other issues because we haven't synced up everything that's going on. But that's why we have a Commerce Hub now. It's not just, baked into everything. We need specific focus on developing this to get that revenue experience right.
Yeah, I can't say a lot, but I had a meeting with some folks from the team about CPQ and the future. And I like where their brains are. I like where it's heading. And I like some of the things that I saw. So I think it's going to get real interesting real quick. Inboundish or post-inboundish in the life of what people are trying to do with those tools.
Yeah. What I think we should do and start aggregating, this would be a good segment to update, once a month so that we can check things off, because a lot of what we've experienced from the community, from people calling in, from Reddit, from wherever we've sourced questions, is recurring theme. One of it for us is like being able to see and visualize and have more context. So shout out Riley for being here, listening, to be able to provide that, right? And the affirmation of like, am I insane, or is this just, can I figure this out, or is it not, quite up to speed yet? But aggregating almost like a top 5 list of things that HubSpot needs to update, like by people in the community, by partners, by solutions partners, by pros, whoever that is. Do we have a working list? Like George, Chris, Casey, if there were 5 things as like a hierarchy of things that the HubSpot product team, those hardworking people need to spend some time on, do we tireless, right? Do we have that? I'm sure that we have different opinions, but being able to, I listen to a lot of sports radio. I think we all know this. Maybe you don't, but I do. A top 5 list of like most requested product or feature updates. Because it seems like a lot of them are CPQ or like reporting related in that area.
I think for me, there's a lot of quote in Commerce Hub things. The quote customization is one for me that is a current pain point. It's just kind of messy and clunky. You'd think it would look like a landing page editor or an email page editor. George.
Wait, what?
Nothing.
What am I missing?
Can't talk about it.
You said the quote editor?
Nope.
Yes.
Can't talk about it.
There's a private beta available that people should check out. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
But I do think that is a big pain point for me and for a lot of non-techie kind of people who are just trying to use HubSpot to create quotes. Yeah, that's a major one I have on my radar to watch out for at Inbound.
But
Chris.
if anybody wants to help answer this question for Rob, we can just
That's not what we were trying to show.
Not there.
Wrong
Yeah.
screen.
check out ideas. Check out the ideas forum on community, and you can go to top ideas. And look at that, cloning a deal.
Hey,
Back in
close,
2017.
close that bad boy.
Yep, just happened. I think that went live today. Like out of beta, cloning
Yeah.
records
Yep.
is a thing. So to
Can
that
you-
point you guys are making earlier, I think workflow action is probably not far behind now that it's out of beta. So
Well, I mean, even looking at this will be a fun exercise. You said this one's done. What about customized deal cards and deal dash? This is from 8 years ago. I feel like if you can refilter them by most recent, maybe that would help.
Well, even like not seeing delivered, because you can literally see the ones that have been delivered. Like, is there a in progress or in planning, or that's what we want to see is like,
yeah, so
or
I
not
try to-
currently planned. What happens if you go not currently planned? What are the ideas that HubSpot themselves are like, no, no.
there we go.
I've seen this.
This is still old. Can you sort by recent on the third drop down? Right there. Trending. Maybe
Trending.
that's
That's trending. There's no date.
Yeah,
Really.
I mean it's not based on. That's where it started.
yeah.
Yeah, but
It's
when you
not
look at the
based on
newest,
number
it's
of
like,
votes.
yeah, it can be kind of.
I'll tell you one. One that is quickly showing up amongst multiple clients that I help is to not need to have a sales seat to see sequence analytics. Excuse me, not every super admin is a sales professional. Not every super admin should need to have a sales seat to see analytics to make super admin decisions. Anyway, HubSpot, love you, but that's just a weird coinky-dink right there. And I've had multiple clients since the seat thing was launched bring it up.
Along those same lines, leads are not available in like an index page the way that our other objects are available.
Yeah.
You have to look at them in the sales workspace, which I still think there is a seat issue with. I have a client that I have permission to view leads, but I don't have I have to find the contact and then find the lead through the associated contact every time.
Yeah. Well, and yeah, there's a whole thing of like, you actually have to own the contact to be able to like see it as a lead anyway. But I agree with like a view or index page for leads is definitely a needed thing hopefully in the near future, because we've done so well. And when I say we, I don't have any of HubSpot's money, nor do I work for HubSpot, but we've done so well of like making this look like that and this work like that. And this is one area where it's not quite there yet. Yeah.
I agree.
I think that relates to one of the conversations that we saw on LinkedIn this week about seats and Service Hub specifically. You want to set that up, Rob?
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out how to share. See if I can figure this out. I don't have admin for what I guess it's since I switched over. This is what I'm looking at. Do you have that on your screen, Chris? While you do that, I'll say there's a couple things. One is that the intent of this is in no way irreverent or accusatory. For me, the intent has always been to provide help and affirmations in the case of Riley, so that in a more communal sense, right? So some of the language you may see in here, especially in the comment thread, is not as like gung ho, yay, HubSpot supportive, especially with the top line, another WTF moment. But being able to show up and to Laura's credit, kind of address this. We've been reluctant to implement help desk. Yeah, that was something I tagged you guys in on. Chris, I know you have some thoughts more specifically. If you want to give some context, be able to help Laura out a little bit.
Yeah, so I think what we're seeing is this relates to HubSpot having a bunch of product teams moving as fast as possible, getting to AI first, updating everywhere. And we've been sharing help desk updates like every day on the morning show. And what happened here is one of those updates is they've been playing around a lot with tickets and trying to make that a better experience for everybody. Almost everybody thinks you have to have Service Hub to be able to use tickets.
Nope.
That's right. And which makes sense because tickets are for service and Service Hub, but it's a standard object of the CRM that everybody gets, even at free level. As the team tries to improve the help desk experience, it's been very intentional about the way that they do things. And now they're kind of overcorrecting because a lot of the work that they're doing is not free, right? And that's where the service seats come in.
Mm-hmm. But
now we're seeing they're kind of detaching, like to George's point, admins had not been able to do their job without paid service or sales seats in a lot of ways that surprised everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And I think what we're seeing here is the process of them starting to decouple things from seats.
Mm-hmm.
But as they did that, that means there's another toggle in settings and permissions. Right. And because that was not toggled and there was no notice, but also the team didn't necessarily realize that this was an impact. Laura here had a whole team that, even though in the fine print was like, oh, to still get to where we're going, just click this part. Most users, they're going to see that lock like first thing, and then they go right to the admin, right? Hey, I can't get to what I'm supposed to be getting to. You just wrecked my whole day, basically.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And what's crazy, it's funny you Chris, you mentioned a switch, like a setting switch. This week alone, and by the way, I've been using HubSpot since 2012. I have been in almost every settings portion of HubSpot known to man or woman or whatever HubSpot user you are. 2 times this week, I got caught with settings that were turned on that I didn't even realize were settings.
Mm.
And I'm like, wait, when did this happen?
Mm-hmm.
And how did it get flipped on? And so I switched them off. I'm like, I don't need either of these for my portal. Now, for client portals, they totally would make sense. But for my portal and like the small amount of humans, dang it, small amount of humans that are in my portal, no, turn it off. So like there quickly is becoming, dare I say, a monthly HubSpot settings checklist may need to be created. Like, have you checked these settings lately to make sure that they are on or off the way in which you need them to be?
George, specifically, I mean, I have some seating, pricing versus credit versus whatever. It seems like there's a lot of stuff going on there. We don't have, I'm not getting there yet. It was more of a discussion question, and Chris, you can keep sharing or not share, but do you think that would be a good, you said it would make a lot of sense in some client portals, but not in yours, like not in, so do you think there's a use case for AI or Breeze or whatever to be able to like see that and understand which settings you normally use, wouldn't like, that would hinder or help your progress based on your activity history, and make that almost default as they update, like as their new settings or whatnot, as they're installed and available? Why would why can't the AI be used in a case to kind of intuit that and make the experience better without you having to go in and change it? Is that something that could be done?
So Chris is shaking his head. I'm shaking my head side to side because I'm torn. I don't know if settings is the place that I want AI to take charge. I would teach, and I would be very deliberate in the settings that I would set. Now, I can see maybe when you're setting up a portal that you would go through a process, and it might do like a, here's what we've done for you. Now go change any of these that you feel aren't right scenario. But if all of a sudden I woke up tomorrow, HubSpot had launched AI settings, and all of a sudden all my stuff was changed, I'm a nice guy. But the ramifications of that support ticket would be like, what happened to George B. Thomas? Like, where's the happy, helpful, humble human? Because he would be gone for at least long enough for me to vent, probably go sit in my backyard, drink a beverage, smoke a cigar, and talk like to myself for a hot minute. Like, I can feel where like people would get super uneasy with that. I may have mispositioned what I thought would be the way to do it, right? In the same way that there's Wake Up Customer Platform and all of the stuff that you guys are currently involved in, right? A lot of, and I've seen this from Chris, and I don't think it's like not public knowledge, but there's like a day prep. Like that's one use for like, here's your meetings, here's all this stuff, here's things you might want to know, right? Almost like a news feed. It would almost be the case where if anything happened, or like on a weekly basis, where like these things are now put in, here's what we recommend based on your activity history. And it didn't automatically install or change anything in your system for you, but knowing the operator, like with the context being portal dependent, like whichever one, it would make those recommendations to you, because that is if they got it right, that would be a good use case of AI to update and provide recommendations based on your activity. So Rob, what you're talking about, by the way, and my brain goes, this would be a beautiful thing for the new homepage, where all of a sudden you log in and it tells you the 3 or 4 potential settings that you might want to actually look at. Yeah, and Chris is literally showing like a homepage right now where like that I can see where like there's a section for like settings you may want to investigate based on what we've seen inside your portal or whatever.
Yeah, and we've seen that in the settings area. There's the audit, the audit log, right? Where you can see login history, security activity. I think that's one thing we should expect is a lot of the settings area is making its way into the rest of the portal where the people like do the work, right? And I think you're on the money, Rob, in terms of at some point AI will do this for us. I think the key is that they have to get to the point where George B. Thomas doesn't even know it's happened.
Oh God, that
Right?
makes me even more sick to my stomach.
I know, but that's where we're at. Because Casey, what have humans done historically when it comes to user permission setups?
Super admin. Super admin. Super admin.
Whoopsie. Yeah,
Especially when the random stuff happens and you can't time or the patience to figure it out. You're like, all right, I tried to do permissions right, just super adminning it.
Oh God, and now I'm gonna really get sick on
Rob,
this show.
are you talking about settings though, or are you talking about updates?
This is more philosophical. It's both, right?
Okay.
If HubSpot is launching into this AI first, AI powered smart CRM thing, like in customer data, I think they should also put an equal amount of emphasis on operators, which would be the people that are manipulating and using the customer data to be able to execute outcomes for them on the business side. So before all of unstructured versus structured, what I would think and suggest is how can the people operating, the consultants, the pros, agent, whatever it is, make better use of themselves as a human in the loop. And part of that is, one, awareness of change update that may impact, may not. And you could have that ranked or rated. One of the things I use Claude and GPT for is like rank these ideas, right? And so there could almost be like a, some percentage. This will 100% affect you based on your usage history of these portals. Like that's more what I'm talking about. It's a combination of both.
Are you aware?
I'm going to ask a favor. Casey, hold on to that thought.
Go ahead.
I feel like I'm in trouble.
Rob, I'm gonna have
You are in trouble, Rob.
I'm gonna have to ask a favor of you. Can you never, ever on this show or any show that we're ever part of say AI first and AI powered when I'm in the room?
Yes.
Oh my God. Oh, okay. I'm done. Go ahead, Casey. Go ahead.
Rob, are you aware of the weekly product updates email?
Yes.
Because this is what it's supposed to be doing. This is personalized for at least the portal. I don't believe at this point it's personalized to the human. I could be wrong though. No one's consulting me on this. But this comes out every Monday. You do have to enroll in it. You can do that this is personal to you as a person, as a HubSpot user. You go to your settings, you go to your notifications, and then you don't scroll.
There you go. Search before scroll.
To this product updates and check email, and then you'll get that on a weekly basis. I am a person who's in multiple portals, so I get multiple different versions of this email every Monday. It's different for each portal that I'm in. It typically has 5-ish betas, and then it also has some upcoming scheduled for release and more information on other updates.
It gets interesting if all of a sudden there was this, but it was for settings, like this weekly settings. Because by the way, when you get a new feature, you get new settings. Like, so imagine if there was like a new settings or a settings updates or something like that you could actually, and not that it's that big. Maybe it's not weekly, maybe it's monthly. I don't know, but I'm just saying, like, somehow we got to know that things are in there that got switched on, or we need to switch off, or and it's just so much. It's like there's so much under the hood. It's like 27 engines under the hood running this bad boy.
I have a lot of comments. Number one is thank you for reminding me. I need to re-enroll in the new portal because it's 2 weeks at Super, so I need to go do that. Also, you guys help out a lot with the shows. That less of a point than that is like I could get it as a direct mail too, but I rarely pay attention to that. And so like there's this user preference thing where I'd actually like it to be just wherever I do the most work and wherever I'm the most active, where it makes the most sense. Toggling and switching between tabs is like, I mean, Casey, to your inbox 0, I have a Gmail account personally that has 80,000 unread emails.
Oh
so,
my God.
That's not the way to get to like put important, necessary, business critical in some cases information in a way that I'm going to ingest it and be able to act on it quickly. And I know that's like, I am taking all of the responsibility for that, but it would be,
you should just inbox 0, Rob.
it would be a nice touch. Dharmesh had a post this week where he was talking about Lovable, and like on their UX on their site, it's like the tiny little reminder of like, here's how you logged in last time, right? That kind of thing is like, if they could put it into into wherever is most native. So that might be to your point, like the homepage or dashboard of like, here's things that have changed. Here's whether you should care about them or not. Like to me, that'd be a nice thing. And then finally, George, I didn't say it. Those aren't my words. I'm just, don't shoot the messenger. I'm just, that's what I've been picking up from the tea leaves and from other places.
I'm past that. I need a new sound. It's the big one, Edith. I need to find that sound from Sanford and Son. How many emails did you say you have in your inbox?
It's right. I'm planning a post for like, thanks for you guys getting me to 80,000, not followers, but emails. It's 79 and some change. Yeah.
Wow.
That's all I got to say about that.
It's stressful.
Man.
I was going to do that at 10,000. Not nearly as cool.
Yeah, At
No,
some
I
point, you
think-
just give up, right? I mean, like,
Wet
yeah,
over here.
I think that's at the heart of Laura's request, which I think it's a fair request. But is it a realistic expectation? As we know, HubSpot, we know what they're trying to do, and they're trying to move as fast as possible. They're going to break things on the way there. It sucks when it happens to you, but show me another company that responds on LinkedIn and it's fixed like within minutes sometimes,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
So it's the path they've chosen. So that's where it's like adjust the expectations a little bit,
Mhm.
but also understand this is why they're going so hard on AI. They want AI coaching and assistance to be everywhere in the
Mhm.
portal. Because at the end of the day, how long did it take Laura to write the LinkedIn post to notify HubSpot that this thing is wrong? Like, all of that takes time. And
Mhm.
what she
Yeah.
needs is users who run into that screen, like, can immediately solve it themselves. Right.
right. So maybe this metaphor will land better with George, and we can weigh in on it. Maybe not. George, hopefully I'm 1 for 2 on this. I've long thought, and there's plenty of these analogies out there, right? But whenever we talk about revenue vitals and diagnose all of that, like the health of the business, this to me, with all of the speed and with all of the with all of the changes, I understand in the long term they're good. In the short term, some of them are functional and whatnot. But I've always viewed this from a more of like a healthcare metaphor dynamic. And to me, those types of things are preventative care, right? A lot of the emotionality behind her message was like, now we have to go do rework, and like this is slowing revenue down, this is slowing everything down, this is causing more of a massive problem that requires surgery than it is being a preventative update. And so as they're moving very quickly, a lot of what they could put in place, like the dashboard, like a lot of things that have been requested, are preventative CRM measures so that you don't injure a client, a customer, your own business, whatever, like that type of thing. And I'd be interested to know if there's anything there's tons of stuff I know that they've done to equate that. This show is like helping people out. So anything else that they could do that would be less of a fix, less of an update, and more of a preventative measure to prevent massive critical errors for people that are using HubSpot. Hopefully that was a better way to view it.
So first of all, I love this metaphor because especially in this scenario, like they literally clogged the arteries, which gave the organization a heart attack. So they went to Dr. LinkedIn to see what WTF, so like the metaphor analogy, whatever works great. Here's where my brain goes with that statement is it's gotten really difficult. Chris kind of was talking about it. Like, listen, well, actually, first thing, HubSpot, you are the most listening organization that I have ever met on the planet. And I appreciate the amount that you listen to customers and the things that you do. Now, with that said, there are so many teams pulling so many levers, building so many things that it's amazing that this only happens every once in a while versus happening almost every day where somebody writes a line of code that breaks a piece or puts a screen that shouldn't be in a place. The fact that it's as seamless as it is normally without outages and without like just random crazy ish, like kudos, to be honest. Like,
Absolutely.
Yeah. And what we're seeing is like, I think there's preventative, but there's also changing the way things are done to a more efficient process, right?
so
And
transplant.
where my mind went first is like, okay, if AI coaching is there, an assistant is there, there is time for them for the AI assistant to see the error page before the user does, and then solve. But in reality, the users are going to start telling Breeze, handle this ticket in this way for me, please. And then the user's never even going to have to go to the ticket record. Right? That's why I think from an admin perspective, which I expect to see it inbound, because even though we don't appreciate it,
Expect or hope.
we should understand, expect, like AI first.
Okay.
They've said that enough. That means a certain thing. They have not, made any bones about what their plans are. That's what I mean. Like, it's very hard, and that's why we're here doing shows like this. When you're in the day-to-day, you're used to doing process, it's very hard to see outside of your world and understand. HubSpot is being very loud about what their intentions are, and I appreciate it, because if we want HubSpot to be around next year and win against platforms like Klaviyo and all the other ones that are just coming up, because you can build things very fast and very user-friendly ways, the way that people have been asking for years. If you're an admin, step one, make sure all the data context from the organization is plugged into HubSpot. Step two, teach your team how to work with the AI assistants in HubSpot. Enable them, empower them. Then they don't have to come to you. You become the architect and the coach instead of the fixer.
Yeah, preventative / proactive. And again, there's tons of stuff already, like permissions, for God's sake. Like you talked about earlier, there's a lot of stuff like that. So the question is, like, what do you put more value on, the speed or the efficacy of what's being done? As it because solving for the customer is always interesting to me as somebody that doesn't have an MBA. It's like HubSpot has a lot of different customer types, especially in the ecosystem, app partners, solutions partners, their client, like all of that kind of stuff. So there's definitely a speed, there's definitely this AI push, but if the people that are executing a lot of this on behalf of others, like a physician or somebody in that metaphor, are unaware of updates or unable to understand the context for what they should do based on those updates, that I don't think the outcome I don't know what the outcome would be, but it's not favorable. What I was trying to get at. Casey, your thoughts? Close us out. It is 3:02. We've had a great show that had a question that, once again, we were very close to, but it's a known thing. So any final thoughts from you on this July 18th?
I had a talk with a friend recently about content fatigue, update fatigue, and people feeling overwhelmed with the amount of content that people, myself included, are producing, and the amount of updates that HubSpot is producing. And all of this is powered by AI. And we were discussing, like, what does that mean? Because this is only sustainable for, this is like, we're in the .com boom, like at some point people have to people have to stop buying domains, like at some point we have to even out somewhere. And at that time, during the .com bubble, whatever, Google was the answer, because there were so many websites being put up online that people didn't know how to find the answers. And now there's so much content being produced. There's so many updates being produced. It feels very overwhelming for people to stay up to date with that stuff. And what is the answer? And one answer could be something like you're describing, like HubSpot putting on their homepage, here's what you should care about. HubSpot's agents doing some of the legwork for you so that you can kind of focus on other areas where you are
I have a
adding
great
more
response to that.
value.
Another metaphor, of course, but what I assume, like, they're also trying to grow new TAM and steal people from Salesforce and prevent the Klaviyos of the world from doing whatever, right? So here, do you want a Destiny or a D&D metaphor, Chris? I'll let you pick.
D&D for sure.
D&D. All right. So let's say you're a DM, right, and you have a game or you have something that's been going
Dungeon
on.
Master for
Dungeon
those
Master.
not-
Dungeon Master.
Thank you. Thanks, George.
By the way, if you're still stuck on whatever the hell TAM is, he might explain that later too.
Total
Mr.
addressable market.
Acronym. Rob
Sorry.
Acronym Jones here today.
MB G to G. But look, what I'm trying to say is, like, if you're a dungeon master and you have a campaign that's been going on 9 months, right, and then it's gone to whatever level of depth and extreme that is, and then let's say you have somebody that wants to join. What is their responsibility to catch up on all the stuff that has already happened in the context? Does it matter? So what I'm trying to say is, like, to Casey's point, with all of the updates, all of that, not only is it necessary, it's critical to keep operators and to keep people, customers apprised of what, like, the direction they're going and what they can do. But there almost is like this distance created from having a foundational like CRM architecture understanding from like the basics of HubSpot. And so if all of the updates are just like, hey, in the settings tab on like very, very nuanced and specific, no one is going to know where to start or learn or like how to translate that into. George, you're a perfect example of this. You said you've been using HubSpot, what, 12 years? So
Yep.
You have the 12 years worth of context of updates and like how it's progressed, how things used to be and where they are now. You can be somebody like you being optimistic about that is great. It's great for HubSpot. It's great for the ecosystem and all of your clients. But somebody that is just trying to learn this as an admin or operator for the first time, and most of what they're seeing, to Casey's point, is very nuanced and specific and is more change management. Doesn't that create a massive barrier to entry? Like, or do they have to go and outsource learning to somewhere that makes it easier to understand and to give the kind of the foundational elements of how to think through this?
So listen, Rob, you literally just described my business. I teach people how to use HubSpot. I take the complex and I simplify it.
Yes.
For 60, 90, 120 days, however long, I will meet with you on a weekly basis. And I will give you actually it was 2012. This is 2025. So it's more than 12 years now. I will give you the years of foundational baseline experience injected into your veins to try to get you caught up to where, because here's the thing. I can't imagine if I tried to enter the ecosystem right now.
Is that a problem or not? Like, plug Sidekick strategies, for sure. But like just my awareness of that, it's great for you to have a business, but the fact that there is a need for someone like you to be able to do that, is that a problem or no? I mean, not for you.
I mean, it's not a problem for me, but it's a problem for the humans trying to grow their business and use HubSpot in a streamlined way. But here's the thing, it's a necessary problem because we're trying to reach I don't even want to call it a destination. The platform will continue to get better and better and better and better and better, right? That's the thing that I like. We're headed in a direction of better, which means change. Which, by the way, if I just want to give you a real deal Holyfield, there's something I've lived my life by for the last probably 20 years, and that is 1% better every day. Guess what that equals? Freaking change as a human. So if HubSpot gets 1% better each and every day, guess what that means? Change for a platform, which means there's going to need to be change for the people, which means there's going to need to be change for the process, which are the three things that if you're not thinking about in your business, people, process, and platform, then what's the matter with you? Okay, I'm done.
Yeah, I mean, that's like, first of all, shout out. The level of conviction I think is important, and the level of content. I haven't been doing this for 13 years. And so I would put myself in the category of people that would require it almost from like an emotional standpoint. It's like, what's the point, right? And so something like a Sidekick or Profoundly that helps people get up to speed, you need to shorten that gap. And so that is what I was trying to say is like, is that overall good or bad? Overall, the direction of better is always a positive, and there will be 1% or more, it seems like, with product updates every day. But Casey, to what you were saying, like, there needs to be an element of trust, authority, and centralization that I don't think necessarily can come from HubSpot themselves with the change. And honestly, that was kind of the impetus for the start of this show, is to put everything that you would need to know that has happened this week into one spot. So just very transparently, HubSpot Helpline was kind of intended to evolve into that type of format where there's a beginner, an intermediate, advanced. That Chris is bursting at the seams to add some color. So I'm going to shut up. Go ahead, Chris.
Yes, and it is in the face of so many people saying, "Do we need more content? We can't handle the content we got." Yet nobody knows about Content Hub. Nobody knows about Service Hub. Nobody knows about Ops Hub. Nobody knows about Commerce Hub. The knowledge gap is real, and we feel it every day. And that's because nobody made content about it.
Well, listen, to back you up, I was talking to a seasoned pro earlier today who was excited about starting to get involved with CMS Hub because they didn't realize the magic that was possible.
Yeah.
Because nobody has been educating on CMS specifically, like down and dirty, like to the nitty gritty of it. And so this is where we land.
Yep. And so if we don't create the content, then it's just going to be a perpetuating problem while HubSpot blasts forward. So I would argue that problem is not the right word. It's not a good or bad thing.
Mhm.
It is a challenge related to finally getting a platform that solves for quote to cash properly after 25 years of SaaS not solving it, right? The data integration problems, the event management never working quite right. And now we're finally starting to get that functionality in HubSpot.
Mhm.
What they're building in Ops Hub to bring the data together, like it's unreal. We've never had platforms that can do the things that HubSpot is doing,
Mhm.
combined with the user experience that is still delightful, combined with the cost. Like the amount of things you can do in HubSpot, people like businesses go through $1 million implementations of other softwares to get this stuff done. And they need teams of IT system administrators to support it. HubSpot is giving us something better than all that. That's why it's the only thing I've seen called the customer platform. I believe in that a ton. And it creates the challenge of trying to keep up. And we are here creating the content so that anybody that makes a living off of HubSpot, I would argue it is your responsibility to keep up with HubSpot if you say you are a HubSpot expert.
Drop
say-
the mic.
I'll say something that you can clip. This is I don't even think it's a prediction at this point, and I'm excited. This is not even an announcement, but I'll use one last metaphor, and then we can get out of here. In the same, I think it was 1975, where ESPN, and they just had the ESPYs, was like, "What you're seeing today is a revelation. You might have think you stepped into the future." Right? There was all this stuff, but teams across the world they had owners and they had commissioners and they had all this, and somebody was like, "There needs to be a trusted, centralized place to report on updates because people care a lot." And in the same way, that to me, it's not a question of good or bad, like Chris said, or content. There's so much freaking content. I don't know what's the best. I don't know how to rank. I don't know who to trust. So in that way, I don't think it can be HubSpot. But in the same way, ESPN is the worldwide leader in sports. There needs to be somebody that aggregates experts and different, like it has to be some sort of media network, which media means showing and responsive quickly. Yeah, I mean, like this is exactly what is on your hat right now. That whole concept of media being like audio, visual, whatever, graphics, that's not it. Media means instant. Media means on scene. Media means like day of. Media is relevant and trending and like what people should care about. So in this, like that will happen. Chris, I'm looking at you doing this, but like in some way it needs to evolve to capture all of those different things, right? So right now it's not going to be an hour-long show or neither will it be a 24-hour news coverage network. But the worldwide leader in CRM or the worldwide leader in Orange Tech, whatever that is, that it's a big enough ecosystem, it's a big enough customer platform to where I think that's the next. Somebody is gonna be able to solve that.
Somebody certainly will.
Hit us with that jingle.
Put the show notes that Rob winked like 8 times, but he's fine. That was not his stroke. Great show, guys. I'll end this with a salute. Have a great weekend. Happy Friday. George, Casey, Chris, pleasure as always.
Thanks, Rob.
Thanks
will
for having
talk
me.
next Friday.
Hello, you've reached the HubSpot helpline. Helpline.
It's Rob, it's George, it's Casey, and Kyle. Come with a problem and leave with a smile. Every Friday at 3, come and join us as we help you with HubSpot. Open up your LinkedIn, just make sure you call in and leave a voicemail about HubSpot. Make your Friday divine with the HubSpot helpline.